Hello, all you beautiful people. Welcome to Quad Shop Podcast. This is episode number 10. I'm Aiden. We got Rome, baby. And we're here. How we feeling?
Feeling great, man. Yeah, Monday
Nice.
morning out here on the West Coast. What's going on with you? How you doing, guys?
Whew.
How's everyone doing?
I hope everyone's good, man. So, what do we got? Is that a spin drift? Let's introduce what we're sipping on today for our Buzz of the Day segment. Let's first and
All right, buzz of
foremost.
the day, guys. Episode 10. Welcome back to Quad Shop Podcast.
Okay.
Um,
I'm staying true here. I went another yerba mate. This one's flavored, really good. And for backup, just in case things get real gnarly, I got a Spindrift lemon. What are you working with
right,
today?
okay, that's my guy right there. So, yeah, I just have wrong side. Lemon spin drift.
Is
They're the
that it?
best. That's it. Yeah, I already had two coffees, so
Oh, you. Wow. Was
yeah,
it
I went quad.
how
Yeah, I
many?
went quad.
So wait, did you go 2 and 2 quad total?
2 and 2. So I did 12-ounce hot latte. That is two shots that
Yeah.
they pull two. Every espresso machine usually pulls two, right? So I had one of those, and then I had another
Oh.
one for the road. So I did have a quad shot this morning.
Nice. Okay, so
Yep.
yeah, I've been on the yerba mate grind, but
We're
anyways,
gonna get on quad, all right?
we're buzzing. Um, so buzz of the day today, I'll take the lead. I actually had a whole like structure and a quote that I wanted to read, and then on my way back from the grocery store this morning, I was on the phone with my grandfather,
Shout
and
out No.
shout out Nono, and he said something to me that now has become the buzz of the day quote. So shout out Nono. It's simple, it's short, and it's a good one. Uh, remember where you come from. Always remember where you come from. And never forget that. That's what he said. Always remember where you come from and never forget that. I was just talking to him and telling him my structure and my plans for the future, and just give him like basic life updates. I like to talk to him pretty often, but today I kind of laid out some info for him for my life, and that was his first response. Was he said, all that being considered, always remember where you come from and never forget that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So, what do you think he meant by that?
Um. Well, I mean, since I'm grateful for this, and since I was born and that side of the family, Italian, super rigid. Um, you know,
By the
big,
book?
big on faith. And he just he wanted to remind me of family, and that's
Like
what he means by that. He means family.
family, okay.
Who
Not
raised
geographically.
who raised you, not geographically. Who raised you? Who was there for you? And it's different for everyone, obviously, right? So, and he like went further on in his explanation of why he said that, and he said, "Don't just remember all the good stuff either, right?" He's like, you have to remember the bad stuff too. Um, he said it in a different way, but that's what I took away from it.
Yeah, that's what you took away
So,
from it. Yeah.
you know, always remember where you come from. And I think that's an amazing quote. And that might resonate with you in different ways. And
Yeah.
ways that I kind of digested it was, yes, first and foremost, that family. You have to remember who was always there for you, who changed your diapers, right? Who was there for you when you needed them. Who put food on the table for you, who made it possible for you to be where you are today, right? Always
Yeah,
remember
I love that.
who and where you came from, right? And then you could also go ahead and look at it, which touches the remember the good and the bad things too, right? So not who specifically, but what, where, and what was it like, you know, in the early stages of your life as a child growing up. Don't forget that because this is what molds you. And sometimes
That's what
there's
molded you.
right, and sometimes there's really important stuff within that childhood. I mean, that's who we are to our core is our childhood self, right? So, um, you have to be able to look back and recall on the good and the bad, right? And just understand that this is, this has a really big portion of why you who you are and why you are the way you are today,
Your
right?
biological and environmental factors, right? It's
Yeah.
like, okay, it's in your genetics, like hereditary, like some things that are passed down through family, just through genes. That was a good sip, by the way. I like that. Good
Spiller.
hit. And then environmental, like you said, like how you grew up, where you grew up, like the people that raised you, right? Like that all plays in a that factor of like, okay, what kind of person am I today? And a lot of it goes back to your genetics obviously play a little bit of a role, but more so environmental, right? Like, so I was raised by my mom and I have my twin brother, and it was just us. So we have a very close, like, and that being said, obviously, we have a very close knit, very tight little wolf pack little family,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, then my grandparents helped raise me as well. So, obviously, I always pay them deference, and respect to those people that were there for me from the jump, right? So
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. Always know, have a lot of respect and love for those people, just because they put in the work. They cared about my brother and I, and they were always there for us.
Yeah.
So yeah,
100%. And this is going a little bit off topic, but I want to bring it up because this plays a role in it as well. I was listening to Andrew Huberman podcast, one of his essentials, where he kind of breaks down, key points throughout the month of his podcasts. And this one had to
yeah,
do with dealing with pain, right? And there was a study that was ran where somebody had extreme heat on their hand, right? And they, went through that pain and then said, scale of 1 to 10, this is, whatever. I could be getting some things wrong, but the main
no,
point
it's
of
okay.
this,
Yeah, I like it.
the main point of this study was the second time they went through the same exact pain, but they were holding a picture of someone that they loved and looking at it, and the pain was reduced, right? So he was talking about
I can believe that
like feats of strength, how people do these crazy things, and a lot of it has to do with adrenaline, right? But
for sure.
you
It's like, yeah,
yeah, and then they feel that pain afterwards, not in the moment. But I thought it was so interesting, right? So interesting that when someone was looking at a picture of someone that they loved dearly, they felt less physical pain and they could sustain more. And I think, obviously there's going to be, for most people, there's going to be those people that you love from the beginning. So remembering where you came from, remembering those people, and that brings emotion, that brings drive. You're doing these things for the people that you care about.
exactly.
That
And
fuels you forward, right?
yep,
It's
like
very
I bet
it's-
you had a lot of nights where you remember, like, you and your bros were home, and you knew your mom was, like, you know, working long, late hours for you and your brother specifically. So that
100%.
automatically just builds that that love and that trust you have for, like, in your mother. And like when you look back on those times, it just makes you want to work harder and push harder, just because she sacrificed so much for you and your bros.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
same with my mom. Like, I saw all her work that she put in, specifically. I mean, honestly, at the beginning, it wasn't even for her. It was just for us. It was for my brother and I, like, for our family to be able to, like, live,
Yeah.
a good life. So,
Right. Yeah, she's got to eat
looking at,
too.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
like you
yeah, yeah.
guys do. And
So,
she's, yeah, definitely.
yeah. Um, so yeah, that definitely, like, if I have a, like, sometimes I'll have a memory of, I was listening to, do you know the song by Morgan Wallen, Thought You Should Know?
Yeah. What's going
So I was
on, mama?
yeah,
Something
and
just dawned on me.
I'm out here on the West Coast, and I was listening to that, and, like, kind of put me in my feels, because, like, it was literally just, I had such a small family growing up. It was like me, my mom, my bro. So I was like, and I sent it to her. I'm like, hey, was thinking about you. Thought, this song resonated with me.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
and that I bet brought up a lot of emotions, whether it was sad, good, bad. There could be a mix of that feeling where, like, so grateful and happy where you kind of like get like sad.
But I
It's
love
like,
those moments, dude. I
yeah,
love those moments because that's in life. We don't have a lot of opportunities in our day and age to feel something.
right.
Like I feel in that moment, I feel alive because I'm remembering. I'm so deep and just like I'm within. Like I'm more grounded. I'm within myself. I'm feeling something,
Yeah.
and that's what we all want, you know.
Yes, I
And
agree with you. I mean, every single moment is an opportunity to feel something in life.
no, and I'll
But
just
I know
continue.
what you
Well,
mean.
like you know what I'm trying to say. It's like
Yes.
those moments where like you really have those like moments of just like you're in the moment because you're just like feeling something like, and it was a happy feeling like, when I was listening to that song. I'm like thinking about my mom and everything. And it felt like it felt like home. You know, I
Hmm.
picked like I don't know. It felt good.
Right,
So
and you created that for yourself, a sense of like home and security and safety and love, 3,000 miles away. And you did
yeah,
that. You did that through, well, the song helped you get there, but you did that for
yeah, yeah,
yourself,
sure.
and those are important emotions to feel for sure,
Yeah.
right? But going
Well, I live in
back,
a very. Go ahead. Sorry.
going back to like, like the people who raised you, right? I feel like that's like they set an example for you, like you were saying, like your mom, like she was doing all this, making ends meet, grinding hard, building her business, all this stuff, right? And that sets an example for you and your brother, and almost like a baseline, like, okay, this
Like to,
is,
yeah.
yeah, right, this is work, this is a big part of life, and this is what she had to do in order to provide. You might not have been thinking that then, but you can see it for what it is now. And there's a lot of things like that in childhood, right? You don't know obviously how it's going to affect you when it's happening and moving forward, but as we become older and we grow, we can look back on our childhood and understand that these things have a really big effect on who we are as people today. And, you know, that being said, the positive and the negative, right? People talk about childhood trauma all the time, right? And these moments in life can cause people to have thought processes for the rest of their lives, and it's
Do you
all
want to?
from
I
their
think that's a
childhood, right?
And I think that's a good segue into the first chapter of our book that we read. The Mountain is You. So we both read the first chapter,
Yep.
and there's some great topics on. You know, you're never pretty much the gist of chapter one as we can get into it, but you're never gonna reach your true self unless you uncover and sift through some of your childhood traumas and some things that uh, unconscious negative associations that you haven't unpacked yet or are too scared to unpack.
Yep.
And I think
It's
uh,
scary, right? 100%. But yes,
yeah,
okay, that is a good segue. So, as we talked about last episode, um, following the Buzz of the Day segment, every episode now we're going to have a new segment, and that's called uh, Buzzing Books. Okay?
you buzzing books.
Buzzing Books, right?
Let's go buzz some books here.
We go from the Buzz of the Day, we're buzzing, right? We talk about all the good stuff, and then we go to our Buzzing Book segment. So, the title of the book is The Mountain Is You. Okay, and that is by what's her name, Brianna Weist.
Brianna Weist. Yep. And then
Brianna Weist.
the chapter that we read and we were prepared for this segment today is The Mountain is You. That's what it's called.
Chapter 1, The Mountain Is You. Also the
Yep.
title of the book. Really, really awesome chapter. And the reason, yes, it's segueing into that is because it was talking about, self-sabotage and things that we create from our childhood, right? And not necessarily from our childhood, but this is a really good segue. So, Ronan read it. I listened to it as an audiobook. And I took a lot of notes and a lot of things away from this chapter. I think
Yeah.
it was really, really beneficial for me. And I really connected with it and resonated with it. So I'm glad that we chose this book. And I'm excited to keep reading it.
100%. I had
So,
a very
Ronan,
beneficial chapter.
I want to get, because your book wasn't even supposed to be here, but it actually ended up showing up, and you were able to read
Yeah.
the
And I
chapter,
was
which is
I
awesome.
read it last night. Yeah, and I crashed early. It was a great night. Dude, it was raining here in SoCal too.
Yeah.
And I like it was awesome Sunday night. I did yoga at 5:30. hot yoga, and then came home. I fasted last night. I didn't have dinner. Still haven't eaten anything.
On that
Um,
intermittent. Well, you had the
yeah,
lattes.
well, yeah. I mean,
Your own tea.
okay, yeah, yeah. But anyways, yeah. So read that. I was able to read it last night. It was a great Sunday night.
Nice. That sounds
Crashed at,
awesome.
dude, I crashed at like 9.
Let's go. I was in bed. I
Yeah.
was asleep by 9 last night too. It was great.
Let's go, brother. Let's go, mono butter. Yeah, bro, that's my guy over there. That's my guy, Ado.
So I want your opinion on the first chapter. Key takeaways.
Great.
Key
Key
takeaways.
takeaways.
A couple of things that really resonated with you, and then we can go further on and discuss it. And I'll give
for
you
me, I have OCD, like intrusive thoughts. So this makes sense here. There's a big quote right here. It goes, self-sabotage comes from irrational fear. So sometimes my brain, my anxious brain, will be like, come up with a scenario like that's not even like, it's irrational. It's probably not even going to happen. Not going to happen. And it'll like twist and try to like come up with some, like a scenario in my head, like down the road that like, okay, if I do this, or if that's back to the baseball thing last time. Like if I'd be good here, then this person's not going to like me, or I'm going to like, it's all this irrational like fear, and then self-sabotage comes in, and then like your coping mechanisms come in and try to protect you from those irrational fears that your brain builds up.
Right.
But it's irrational, meaning not likely to come true. Like irrational, it's not a rational thought, right? Rational meaning like you're fully there, functioning, rational, conscious human being.
Yes.
So, and this chapter really helped me like recognize that, like all these things and these thoughts that come in my head daily, like thoughts aren't you. They don't define you. Your actions define you. What you do every day defines you. So, and that was a nice refresher for me personally. And I hope someone out there can, the audience listening can take that away from that as well, because I know everyone, a lot of people in our day and age and what we've seen, a lot of people have anxiety, right? And it comes in different forms and different ways. For me, it comes through OCD and intrusive thoughts.
Okay. I'm going to jump in right there because it is totally relative to what you're talking about right now. In the book, almost word for word, I think I wrote it down in my notes, actually. Let me find it real quick. So the example that she used was someone who says they have anxiety, okay? Like you were just talking about.
Yes, sir.
And people spend their lives saying to themselves, saying to other people that they have anxiety over and over and over and over again. I have anxiety. It's because of my anxiety, right? And they do this, right? Over and over and over. Now you're fully identifying externally and internally as someone with anxiety. You're solidifying the fact, right, that you are an anxious person. Okay? And you start adopting this into your belief systems. And it becomes you. It becomes you, right?
Yeah. And I will say this though, I don't adopt that into my belief system. I don't ever use that as a crutch, and I know that I will say, like, I get anxious, right?
Yes.
And have these thoughts sometimes. But that doesn't define me. That never has.
Yes.
And I've always pushed through that and understood that. I never use it as a crutch. I never use it as, in the past I definitely have when I didn't know what was going on. But now, like, I take full accountability for my actions, and I'm never going to let that or my brain stop me from being successful, especially in this kind of new awakening period of my life. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to grab life by the fucking, what?
Cojones.
Yeah, cojones.
So yes.
I do not let it define me, but I'm just saying, I know I did say that, I have anxiety or OCD, but yeah, I guess you can say, sometimes I do.
Well, dude, obviously you're your own person. You can do whatever you want. But when I've read that, man, it really resonated with me because the words you speak are so important, right? They're so important.
Take those words and create that reality.
Right.
Even if it's not your reality.
And you're compounding it layer upon layer upon layer Um,
Yeah.
whether it's, someone else views you like that, you view yourself like that. Like I said, you keep saying it over and over and over again. That's only going to strengthen and solidify the fact of what you're saying. Okay. And if you do want to change it, which, let's be real, man, who wants to be anxious, right? Who wants to be an anxious person? Who wants to have anxiety, through the day to day basis? Um, if you say you do, I'm confused. But I guarantee most, if not all, people who experience anxiety do not want to deal with it, right? And I think a really big step, okay, in that is watching your words, watching how you speak about it, okay? And watching and noticing if you're internalizing it, right? Which of course you are because you are experiencing it, okay? But I don't know, it resonated with me so much. If you want to change, you have to change that as well. Okay? You have
You
to
do.
stop identifying with it, okay? If you don't want it in your life, stop saying that's the way you are because you can change. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Teach. Question
Ronti.
for your class. No, bro. But, I don't identify with that. I don't make it my personality. I don't make it who I am. I'm Ronan.
Ronti.
I accept that. I accept it, but I don't accept it as me, as my reality. I don't accept it as in terms of just like I don't like let it just be. Oh yeah, I have this. Like yeah,
Yeah.
this is. It's because of that. It's because of this. Like no,
Right.
no. I take full accountability for my actions,
Which is an
and
important
that's
part.
as
You
a
have to.
man that I'll fucking stand on.
Yeah.
And when I'm sorry, I'll apologize.
Yeah.
And then if I'm being soft in my brain, I'll be like Ronan, no, that's you. You're being a bit like So I just want to make that clear.
Okay. No,
That
it's clear.
yeah,
Um you're
you know that
moving.
as my friend, you know that.
Yeah, so I thought that was a really interesting part of the book, and it really resonated with me, and I wanted to bring it up because uh, it's just it really opened my eyes and put it in a perspective that I thought would be really beneficial for me to share with you guys because I know it's going to benefit me moving forward. I liked this little note that I took: envision and become one with your future self, and mourn the loss of your past self. I really did like that because like we're just saying with the anxiety thing, you have to adopt, thought process, mannerisms, structure, and schedule and routine of the person you want to become if you want to become that person, right? The change isn't gonna the change isn't gonna come if you can't change yourself, right? So you have to adopt these things that might seem really hard and impossible to do, but you have to add them with care and slowly ease yourself into this person that you want to become and start molding and shaping and redefining yourself. If you want that change, if you want to become something that you aren't, then you need to implement things that are going to make you that person, right?
It's
And then
almost like
mourning your past self. So, like the example with anxiety, saying, like that was a part of my life. I really,
struggle with that at some point, but
yeah,
I'm no longer gonna let this define me. And
right.
that's where I'm at. I'm like,
Yes.
fuck that. I'm gonna go live my best life. Let's go.
Yes, 100%. And, say, okay, I'm grateful I experienced that anxiety. I'm grateful I went through all of these, negative thought process because now I know one from the other. And now I know I don't want that in my life. Now I know I want this. Let's start implementing this. Let's do this. Let's start going and doing this shit because fuck yeah. That's who you want to become. Become it.
It's almost like
Let's go. Get a
yeah,
hit.
it's like
Come on.
get a hit. You want a hit? No, you get one. You get one. Mine's done, bro. I've already won. I won.
Ah. Okay.
But no, it's almost like you think of a puzzle, right? It's like think of a finished puzzle, and you think that's where you are. It's think that that's who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and that's before you change. You're comfortable. You do the same thing. Maybe you're just like you're not who you want to be. What you need to do is fucking rip all those, literally just destroy that puzzle, and then take those pieces of yourself and put them together how you want to be. What kind of person you want to be. It's almost like a 2.0, but you're still yourself, but you're redefining your expectations for life
Hmm.
and the life that you want to live, and you're slowly piecing that together and building yourself up to the person that you want to be, because you're no longer going to be that person that was, you know, in this world of negativity
Right.
or abuse, substance abuse. Like, so
Yeah.
all this, like, you kind of have to get to this point where you're like, and it's something we'll touch on a little bit, the last part of the book that we already maybe kind of disagree
Last
on.
part of the chapter.
Sorry, last part of the
Yes, and we
chapter.
do disagree. We will talk about that.
Yeah. But you just have to put those pieces together and get so like upset with your past situation that you need to move on in a new direction. There's no way you're going to ever go back.
Yeah.
And I think you and I have both been there
A
in our
hundred
own
percent.
personal lives,
A hundred
correct?
percent.
And I know you have been there, and I'm so proud of the person that you are and the person that you're becoming. Um, and dude, yeah, I'm very, very proud of you.
I appreciate you, brother. Much love. Thank you. I really
Yeah,
do appreciate that. And
please, I will never let you. Yeah, like, dude, that like you you're
yeah,
gonna keep going, bro.
and yeah, no,
It's
if you're listening to
there's
this
no
and
way.
you know me and you know who I used to be, I'm sure, um it's pretty weird to see what I'm doing now. But just
And I
know,
fucking love. This is
but just
always who
know
you've
that
been. This is always who
exactly.
you've been.
Exactly. It's always who
This is
I've
you,
been
dude.
and it's been step by step, okay? It's been step by step, a process of molding and creating the vision that I always had of myself, and it's changing. It shifts and it changes as I grow and I learn more. But I always had a vision of myself and who I wanted to become. I know that there were some real core things, okay? But in my past, I kept failing to achieve, and it's been a slow process, step by step, integrating thought processes, a lot of support and help on the way. And but like everything, it comes back to yourself and how are you gonna create it, how are you gonna solidify it. So yeah, no, I'm proud of myself as well, and I appreciate you saying that. It means a lot to me because
Dude, you should be. I think about that often, actually.
it was
Um,
extremely hard work, right? And I'm just talking about my personal experience and hope that it can help someone out there change as well. um I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but
oh, for sure.
this is what happened. This is the reality of my life and the situation
You
um,
were in.
I was in, and I am in now, right? And yeah, it took a lot of hard work, right? It's not easy, but you do it step by step. So let's get
Yeah,
back to the
and
book here.
yeah, let's get back to it. But let me just say one more thing. I love, like, the best part about this and like you and like knowing you now is that I know that you're so like strong minded. Like, you're on this. Like, you're never gonna let yourself fall back to the person you
No,
were, or like the habits that you created. And
no,
that's what makes me most happy about seeing you now. It's like, dude, you're so dialed in. You're so like, you've got your shit together to a point where I'm like, okay, my guys got this. Like, I'm not worried about it, you
yeah,
know. And that's a great feeling as a friend, someone you care about. Is like knowing that, okay, I know Aiden's gonna make the right decisions here. And I mean, and no one's perfect, but you know what I'm trying to say.
right, right. And you can count on me, and I can count on you, vice versa. I feel the same way
Yeah.
about you because when we you know really started to grow our friendship, we were in a completely different place in
Different.
our own lives. This was about 5 years ago, and our lives have changed insanely since then, right? And we have
So much
changed.
has
We have
changed, dude.
changed.
So much.
So it's really good.
Yeah. So let's
What
get back to the book here.
else on the book do you like here?
Well, you had a lot of things. You had a lot of notes written down. I think
Yes.
you should get into some of those,
Okay. Um,
and I'll wait for you to finish.
so this goes back to also the buzz of the day, right? Okay. So you notice a self-sabotaging behavior. You're conscious of it. Okay. And then you have to grasp the ideology of this self-sabotaging behavior and then take the issue, right? And go back to your first concept of it, okay? So the one that she used in the book was an example of money, okay, and finances. Okay, so now you need to go back to your first concept, okay? And what she was saying was, how did your parents talk about money? How were your parents' finances? How did they teach you about money? How did they speak about somebody with money? And how did they speak about somebody without it, right? Because, like we were saying before, this is going to create and shift your perspective on life. This is, your upbringing, okay? So now that those initial concepts are built into you, okay? So go back to the very beginning, the first you can remember of that concept, right? So, and then the ways that as you start to grow, and age, how are your finances, okay? When you first started dabbling with them. This is just an example, by the way, money. It could be anything. And then how are your friends' finances? How did you feel when a friend was doing better than you? How did you feel when a friend was doing worse than you? And, if it's something that you want to change, obviously you're not happy with the way that you have or are currently dealing with it. So now you need to understand where you want to go. Okay? So you need to sit down and
Do I want, like, it's
right. Where do you want to go? Going back to the money example. Where do you want to see your finances? Okay? Write down every single, this is what she said in the book. Write down every single bill you have a month. Write down every single asset you have. Write down your source of income down to the year, month, week, day. Write everything down finance wise, right? And then break it down. And then make goals. Where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve? And then you have to break it down even further. And how do you achieve that? Okay? Like, things don't just magically get better. You have to be able to intellectually think about this behavior that you're having, or a certain situation or a thought process, is whatever it is. You need to understand that it is happening. Then you need to go back to the beginning and understand why and how you view this, right? And then, as you, like I said, you grow and progress and these things start to happen, your perspective on it shifts and changes, and then you're up to the point where you are now. But now you want to change. So where do you want to go? You have to break everything down, okay? And like Ronan was saying, you have to take that puzzle and break it and rebuild it the way that you want, because the self-sabotaging behavior is the thing that is, limiting you from, going back to the money example, achieving your financial goals, okay?
Yeah.
And then you need to go on even further and do the work, okay? So if you set a structure, you have to do it if you want to see change. You can't just write it on a piece of paper and expect it to happen or hope it happens.
Yep.
You got to do it. So that one was really big for me as well. I really liked that one. Another one, dude. So Carl Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist, she brought up.
Yeah. I read this part.
Yeah, she brought up Carl Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist, and she used him as an example, okay? And the example was, when he was a kid, he hit his head, and after the head injury, he developed. What did he develop? He developed uncontrollable fainting spells from hitting his head. Okay, and
because he didn't want to go to school.
Yeah, so when he hit his head, he realized, I don't have to go to school. So he made an unconscious, and obviously he's a psychiatrist. This is out there. Like, you can go read this. She's just using him as an example because it's a great example. So he hit his head. He made an unconscious association with leaving school, hitting his head.
Fainting.
Right, and then he developed the fainting spell. So that
So
association.
he could get out of school.
Exactly.
Because
So
school
now
keeps
his
him alive.
fainting spells, whenever he faints, he gets out of school. And he explains that he never really liked school. He feels like he didn't fit in. So he's experiencing fainting spells, and he's getting out of school through an unconscious decision, and that is self-sabotage, right? We're putting
Yep.
ourselves in like a physically negative place, um, right? And dude, something that can be medically diagnosed. This is a really important part too. A doctor could say he is experiencing fainting spells because he hit his head, but he's doing it
It's
to
crazy, but
himself.
the root cause of this is from the self sabotage.
Right, right.
Crazy how, and this just goes back to, we talk about this a lot, like how powerful your brain is,
Yeah,
you know, and like, what do you want to tell yourself? Who do you want to be?
right.
You know,
So
and
what I took away from that
yeah, what do you got?
is yes, you have the power to quote unquote put yourself in a position where you're experiencing fainting spells. Whatever your fainting spells in your life might be, you have the power to physically inhibit yourself, right? As a self sabotage coping mechanism to get out
Yep.
of a certain situation that you might be in, okay?
Yep.
But you also have the power to heal yourself. You can heal yourself physically. You could put yourself in these positions where you use your brain to heal your body. Okay.
Yep.
And when I was younger, the reason this resonated with me so much, man, so much, was because when I was younger, I had an association with feeling fatigue, physically ill, right? Physically ill and getting out of school or work or whatever it might be. And it leaked. That fucking self-sabotaging behavior became so solidified in my past, and it leaked into my life. And it was grueling. It was tough, man.
It, it was just, yeah, it was,
It was
go ahead.
disruptive and destructive, right? To
Destructive. That was the word I was looking for.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I heard you coming, and it's true.
You heard the
But yeah, no, man, 100%, it was true, and that's why I resonate with that so much, because it is something I experienced in my own life, and I never was able to like define it like that or see it in that perspective. So the fact that I've read that in the book was so helpful for me, because it now allowed me to like see this whole reason of what I used to do to myself to get out of work or school
and
or
now you
whatever.
yeah, and now you see it, and now you
Yeah.
knew the root cause of it because you didn't like school. You're like, oh, I'm too tired, I'm done.
Yep. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's your brain tricked yourself like, oh, I feel physically unwell.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna get out of school.
Wow.
Okay, then your brain's gonna keep.
But dude, the thing is I actually felt physically unwell.
No, I know, but that's what
Like
that's
I
back.
literally,
Your brain can do that, and
yeah.
it's powerful. Everything's connected. Your brain to your physical well-being to your body, and that's why everyone talks about unity. You got to be one with
Mm-hmm.
everything. Everything matters.
Yeah.
If you're not right up here, you're probably not gonna be too great because you might probably skip the gym because if you're like, oh no, I need,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much that goes into it. There's different things. And if it gets to a certain point, if that's self sabotage, that your brain can actually trick your body into being okay. Yeah, I do feel this, and then you start feeling unwell,
Yeah.
right? So it's a powerful tool, man. So I appreciate you sharing that. That's a great point.
Yeah. Are there
What
any other key takeaways you took away from this chapter?
I'll bring up one more thing about this chapter that I liked, and then we'll get into the end of the segment, the end of the podcast. And yeah, so end of the chapter. One thing I did want to bring up and read to everyone that really resonated with me that I loved and I underlined actually in the book with my pen. You are going to have to decide that you love yourself too much to stop settling for less than what you really deserve. And I think that's so true because it gets to a certain point where it's like you have to look back on those moments of all the struggles that you went through, how you were able to pull yourself out of those struggles, like those moments of like how down bad you were, and it's like, you know what am I doing this for? You should it's like, am I doing it? I don't really love myself. What's going like why did I pull my question like, okay, well, like, yeah, sort of, I must have done that for a reason. You're like, wait, because I love myself and because I matter,
I love
and
that.
then once you like switch, once you take like flip that switch, you're like, wait, I actually do want to succeed. I actually do want to be great. I actually do want to take care of myself
And
and
love
everything
myself.
and love myself,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like once you find that out, you're like, all right, I'm gonna start rebuilding my life and taking action, taking ownership and being like, let's go.
Yeah.
And not settling for things that I once did.
Right.
Whether that's a
And
relationship, whether that's um anything, right? And
dude,
then once you realize that and get to that point, um, you then can build upon that foundation of that self love and have that with you and make, in whatever decisions you use or do going forward. So
yeah.
I think everyone needs to get to that point if you're going to truly live your best life, because you've got to watch out for yourself and love yourself at the end of the day.
Yes. I love that a lot. Totally love that. That is something that you can apply to any situation, right?
Yep.
And it's something also you have to remind yourself of in when times are bad, okay? So that also brings us to the end of the chapter, okay?
Yep. What have we got?
So explain your point of view to the specific ending that
Okay.
I'm referring to. You know what I'm talking
So
about.
Aiden and I talked on the phone before this podcast. We were like, "Hey, great first chapter, great book. We're happy we're doing it for you guys and us as well. We're happy we're reading it."
Yeah.
But one thing we disagreed on, and here's the specific uh, paragraph that we disagreed on, right in the book. Okay, page 25. The mountain is you. Chapter 1. If you really want to change your life, let yourself be consumed with rage, not toward others, not with the world, but within yourself. And I love that because I think it gets to a certain point, your breaking point, rock bottom, the book talked about. Like, and this is back to my previous comment about you've got to get to a certain point where, like, wait, what am I doing all this work for? Why am I feeling this way if I really do love myself? Why am I self sabotaging myself if I do really want to be great and love myself?
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to a point where you get mad, you get pissed off at yourself for what the fuck have I been doing the last 10 years or 5 years?
Right.
Why have I treated myself this way? So, and then I think you have to get filled up with enough rage to change.
Yep.
And
Okay.
that's my opinion. But and I think it's important that she added in here, not toward others, not
Yeah.
with the world, but
Right.
within
No,
yourself.
it is
So
good
I'd
that
like
she
that
added
point.
that.
So I actually do agree with that, but let me hear your take on this.
Okay. So I appreciate and respect your takeaway and opinion, but I
Yep.
disagree with you because it's coming back to what we were just talking about prior to the end of the chapter. You love yourself, and that's how you're acting, right? That's how you're moving forward now. That's how you're taking on these new challenges and steps with love and care, right? So I think that rage and anger and frustration and regret all kind of play a role into a similar, emotion, which is some sort of fear. Okay. And I don't think that filling yourself with internal rage is the way to make a change.
What
It's
do you think
good.
it is?
It's good fuel. So I think rage, if you're going to fuel yourself with rage and you're going to get fucking pissed off, you're going to say, I want to fucking change. Who am I? Why have I been doing this? It's going to fucking build a fucking fire inside of you. Okay?
Yep.
It's going to build this big fucking blaze of a fire and ignite, right? Now you're motivated. But, in my opinion, when you fuel something with this rage, fear, negativity, in my opinion, that fire diminishes quick. It's a burst.
Mm.
It's a
You mean it's
burst.
temporary?
It's temporary. It's a burst of emotion, and it's a quick fuel. It's like dumping lighter fluid on a fire. It goes and then dissipates. Now, if you want something to sustain, if you want something to last, and you want to have a positive thought process and belief system to back it up, then you do it with love because you love other people, yourself. You love yourself enough to become who you want. Fill yourself with love. Fill yourself with kindness and understanding that, okay, I was this way. You can't be fucking mad at yourself for that.
I think that's a good point, and I
You,
resonate with that. I
yeah.
think you need that initial rage, that initial change to spark that change. You need that initial like, okay, I'm done.
You need to
Everyone
realize.
needs it.
You need to
You need it.
realize. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course you need to
realize. But
realize.
then I think you're saying is that versus it's not that's hard to sustain.
Hmm.
So I understand where you're coming from as well. And
Yeah.
I think, I think maybe everyone's different. Maybe there is a certain way to change. Like maybe, you get that initial rage and switch, but maybe it doesn't, I don't
Right.
know.
Right. Yeah,
It's
100%.
something to definitely ponder on.
So yeah, that was the only thing that I read in the first chapter that I disagreed with. Obviously you took it one way, I took it another way, and she wrote it, right? So we're not all gonna agree as humans, and one thing might work for you that doesn't work for me,
And
vice
that's the
versa.
beautiful thing, dude. That's the
That's a
beautiful thing
beautiful
about
thing.
life. That's why I'm so curious. I love asking random people questions. Like, I'm just like, it's such a different, like, life is different for everyone. And like, I just like to know, like, okay, I'll see a stranger at a coffee shop. Like, what's going on there? Like, I'm genuinely curious. I'm like, you know,
I love
I
that
want to,
about you so much. Dude, you are
bro,
the
right?
most
It's
you
like,
are the most curious person I know by a long shot. And I think I know, okay? I'm going to use this as an example, right? When I'm cutting at the barber shop and you come in, right? Ramsey's there and I'm not going to say any more names, but everyone's there, right?
my guys.
The boys are there. And then you leave, right? Everyone's like, dude, that guy is like happy all the time. Why does he ask so many questions? Like all this and that. But it's like, that's who you are. It's so genuine. And I love that about you so much. Like, you're curious. You will go up to a stranger at a coffee shop because you are genuinely curious. Like you said, what's going on there? And you want to know. And that's awesome,
Yeah,
man. It's
yeah,
like what's underneath the rug, right? And
yeah. Or this is my favorite. Like you've probably we've talked about it. So we'll see someone at a coffee shop and you have this like perception of them. It's like, okay, that
mhm,
person's that. But then you want to like know, like, is that really them? Like, what's their, is that their
right.
vibe, or like, am I off there?
And that's don't judge a book by its cover, right?
100%, hundred
Yeah.
percent. So
And I
I don't
bet
know.
through time after time of approaching people and having a thought process like, okay, I've created a persona for this person and I've never spoken a word to them. Then you
Yeah,
dive in and you start to get to know them a
you're like,
little better.
oh shit.
Yeah. So that for yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that.
I think we're both similar in that way, though.
Definitely. Yeah, no, you bring that. You have opened my eyes to the beauty of curiosity. So I appreciate you for
Yeah,
that. In a
yeah, yeah.
in a different way. Um,
Keeps you going.
yeah, because I've always been curious about things that I'm curious about, but
Yeah,
I
like
think
you have
you
your
opened my
passions.
yeah, exactly, and then I think you opened my eyes to a more broader curiosity of
Mm-hmm.
things, and yeah, no, it's dope way, man, to go
Yeah,
around and live life because it's
that's life.
you're not gonna really know unless
Yeah, like
you
isn't our job on Earth? It's like not even our job, but I mean, for me, I want to gain the most understanding about the most things as I can in this short period of time we're on this Earth. Like I want to learn about things.
yeah,
I'm not here to just like go through life and just be in my own little world. Like I want to like know like what's up. Like
right,
you know.
yeah.
So
So
hey, great fucking episode. Episode 10 was a banger.
episode 10 for sure. So yeah, buzz of the day. Let's recap. Always remember where you come from. Never forget that. Right?
Yep. Shout out No.
Shout out, no. Beautiful.
And Buzzcut.
Yep. So chapter 1 of The Mountain Is You. We kind of went all over the place explaining that chapter, but basically the basis of that chapter is explaining self-sabotage, recognizing it, and understanding there needs to be a change and small tools. We're not getting into the nitty gritty quite yet, but just small things and tools to try and kind of dig a little deeper and start to change that. Okay. But yes, this is chapter 1. This is the awakening. This is the realization that change is on the horizon. you understand that you have a self-sabotaging thought process or pattern, whatever, and you want to
You go to the
change.
root cause. You go to that initial concept thought. Why did I have this?
Yep.
Is this does this serve me? Is this irrational? And then you move on. You break it down.
So, yes, next week we will be bringing chapter 2 to the book to you guys, and Ronan will have Buzz of the Day. Super stoked. That'll be episode 11. And we've been trying to post 3 Instagram reels per week, highlighting some of our favorite parts of the podcast and also incorporating the Buzz of the Day. So we're trying to stay active for you guys, keep you guys intrigued, keep you guys interested, but I just want to remind you that we love you guys and we want you to be more involved in this podcast. So if you guys have topics you want us to talk about, if you guys have opinions and ideas, comment it, DM us, email us, whatever works best for you. If you know us, call us. We love you guys and we want you to be more involved. So, Ron, I love today's podcast. I appreciate your insight, as always, my man. As always.
Same to you. Same to you, bro.
And yes, sir. We will catch you guys next week. All right. Stay buzzing, stay bright, stay beautiful.
Stay blessed.
Quad Shot Podcast. We're out.